But now a tribute to an extraordinary leader in support of our nation's fire and emergency services who is no longer with us. Congressman Bill Pascrell passed away on August 21st of this past year. Before his passing, the Congressman was able to attend an Oval Office signing ceremony on July 9th, in which President Biden signed legislation into law to reauthorize the AFG and SAFER grant programs, two programs that will forever be associated with the Congressman's legacy. CFSI is honoring the memory of Congressman Pascrell tonight with a video that conveys our thanks and appreciation to our dear friend. We have a group of New Jersey firefighters who will be participating in this tribute, and we thank you for making the trek down here to do so. Following the video, please stand for the final tribute and remain standing for the benediction by Chaplain Wendy Norris. But again, thank you very, very much. I know we had some treacherous weather conditions, and we thank you so much for making the journey, so thank you.
To say that funding our cops and firefighters is not national security spending is ludicrous.
You can't look at an issue in the fire service in the last 25 years that Bill hasn't had an impact upon.
Our brave local police officers and firefighters who protect our streets day and night are the very essence of our national security.
Bill Pascrell is the father of the Fire Act.
He helped create the SAFER program. He created the Campus Fire Safety Right to Know Act.
He was involved in home fire sprinklers. He was involved in training.
He was involved with creating the Firefighter Cancer Registry.
And so we want people to come forward so that the registry means something.
It was always about saving lives and preventing firefighter deaths and injuries that motivated Bill Pascrell. Mayors generally take very seriously the loss of a public safety employee of their city. And Bill Pascrell, unfortunately, lived that as mayor of Paterson, New Jersey. In January of 1991, there was a large fire at the Myers Brothers department store.
And it was in the middle of winter and it was freezing cold. And he went down to the fire and watched what was happening, and he wouldn't leave. And even though everyone told him he had to go, he wouldn't leave. And he was there so long that actually he had to take him to the hospital because he was so cold.
And in that fire, John Nicosa, a firefighter for Paterson, lost his life. It took 2 days to recover his body. And Bill Pascrell publicly and privately would talk about the impact that that had upon him, and he felt that he needed to do something about that.
He went right back out after he got out of the hospital to see what was going on and to show his support for, the fire service, which he would always tell you was the forgotten piece of the public safety equation that he wanted to make sure was not forgotten when he was in Congress.
So when he was ultimately elected to Congress in 1996, he really made it his crusade to bring some level of parity between law enforcement and fire in terms of federal grants. And obviously, as a father of the Fire Act, he succeeded mightily.
At the time, I thought to myself, here's a freshman member of Congress, a Democratic member in a Republican-controlled Congress, trying to launch some major initiative that's never been attempted before. And so I thought to myself at the time, I'm not really sure which direction this is going to go, but I didn't really feel too good about it. And then I met Congressman Pascrell.
Yeah, I mean, Bill was a force of nature.
Don't show them that we don't have the fight in us to turn things around.
He recognized that it wasn't a Democratic team, it wasn't a Republican team, it was a fire service team.
Made sure the career guys were good. He made sure the volunteer guys were good. Made sure the chiefs were good. Make sure all the other, of the organizations, CFSI was good. And then we just let people loose on their congressman.
When it was actually passed, it was the bill that had the most bipartisan co-sponsors of any bill in Congress that was enacted in that session. And that's testimony to Bill's tenacity and his willingness to just push an issue to the very end. And to accomplish that as essentially a very, very low-level new congressman is just extraordinary.
Whenever he traveled across the country, you know, he'd visit firehouses, and people would know who he was. I think he was proud that, you know, his reputation preceded him with firefighters from across the country.
He was effective because people knew he was real, people knew he was sincere, and knew that he would work very hard towards the goal.
He just would not take no for an answer. I think it was his upbringing as a first-generation American, a son of immigrants.
He loved his district. He loved his hometown of Patterson. He was connected to the people in an incredible way.
If I was a member of Congress and I had my name etched onto a wall of a fire station in honor of myself for what I was able to accomplish, I could not think of a more fitting tribute.
Bill's funeral was very moving. It was at the cathedral, the biggest cathedral in Patterson. It was packed with people, standing room only. There were bagpipers, there were police, there were fire lined up outside, they were lined up inside.
Bill's absence, his passing, leaves a vast hole in fire service support in Washington, D.C. There are few members of Congress that have provided the support for the fire service for as long as Bill Pascrell has.
He was there from the very beginning. He was there when we needed him. He thought in a bipartisan way, which is kind of unusual today.
And you knew if he cared deeply about something, you ought to pay attention to it, because it came out of not any political intent, but of an intent to make the lives of the people that served his community, as he did, better.
Bill would be very concerned about what's coming down the pike with potential plans for budget cuts in this program and that, and he would say, be organized, put your differences aside, let's get together, let's work as a community to make sure that not only are these grants continue, but they continue to thrive.
We have a lot of champions, but he lived and breathed this issue, and he is going to be impossible to replace. There's people who will support us, there's people who will go to the wall for us, but at the end of the day, Bill Pascrell was one of us.
I hope that both sides will come together on this. It has bipartisan support. We need to protect our firefighters. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.